attention shoppers. On behalf of all of our Macy associates, I would like to welcome you to the Carroll County Community Theater's production of Miracle on 34th Street. At this time, we ask that all electronic devices be set to silent. We remind you that any flash photography or video recording is strictly prohibited. For your convenience, there will be a 15 intermission following the first act. Also, after the production, Santa will be in the lobby for photographs. On behalf of the City of Carrollton and the Cultural Arts Center, we would like to wish you a happy holidays. Don't miss Carroll County Community Choruses presents Christmas in Carrollton, showing December 8th and 9th. Our next community theater show will be Spamalot, the musical. Auditions will be held December 11th and 12th. And registration for our winter and spring semester is January 2nd through the 12th, 2018. Now, enjoy Miracle on 34th Street, and as always, thank you for shopping at Macy's.
Your spirit, a real Christmas spirit, is always such a joy.
Well, you know Christmas is big bucks for the department stores. It's when they make up for their losses that they have all year long.
Oh, Christmas is more than money, Doctor. Christmas is the one time that should be devoted to the pursuit of what we stubbornly avoid the rest of the year. Peace, goodwill, and helping others. What do you want for Christmas, Doctor?
Oh, I doubt that even Santa Claus can get me what I want for Christmas.
Well, try me.
Well, if you insist. The Maplewood Medical Facility needs an x-ray machine. It would be handy in so many situations, but they're very expensive.
You shall have it, Doctor.
Chris, if I get that x-ray machine, I'll know that you're Santa Claus.
Just look in your stocking Christmas morning.
Chris, we've never really discussed your having to leave Maplewood, and I want you to know how truly sorry I am. I argued for you, but the board overruled me. They have decided that we just can't have somebody that they've decided is mentally unsound.
Well, but I passed all those tests.
I know you did, and I argued for you, but I just cannot justify having...
Because I'm Santa Claus.
Because you say you're Santa Claus.
Well, it happens to be true.
But the board doesn't believe in Santa Claus, so you're out.
Well, what happens next?
Maplewood has an arrangement with Mount Hope Sanitarium
The rubber room, huh?
for a public hospital. It's a charming and comfortable facility. They've got entertainment and television, and Chris, do you have any money?
Sure, I've got $53.
Well, that won't last you very long. You're not a young man anymore. If you can't support yourself, you'll wind up as a ward of the state and at Mount Hope anyway. Why not avoid the unpleasant experience of living on the street?
There's nothing wrong with me, and I'll be hanged if I go to the plant.
But what choice do you have?
Well, the Central Park zookeeper is a friend of mine. Maybe I can stay with her. The reindeer don't tell my sanity.
Oh, Chris, please.
Well, Doris, after 5 years, we have this parade business working pretty well, don't you think?
Just so long as Mr. Macy is happy.
I think the teddy bear is better this year, Mother.
Yes, Susan, we fixed his eyes so they roll. It makes him look more alive.
You watch your mother, Susan. You'll be able to handle this parade by the time you're 10.
Merry Christmas!
Yeah, Sally. You keep on. It's all in the wrist.
Feels a little better if you grease it just a little bit.
Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself. And in front of all these children. You're a disgrace to the uniform. Where is your Christmas spirit?
It's right here. See, I gotta keep warm, you know. Gotta keep warm. There's our Santa Claus, George.
How did we end up with him? See if you can get him onto the sleigh. How? Get someone to help you shove and tie him in if you have to. Thank you.
I'm thinking when we slicey.
Mother, I don't think you're going to find a Santa who's asleep.
He's not as twinkly himself, that's for sure. Stay here.
That's not really Santa. He works on another at Macy's. If you want to see a Santa, they're ringing bells at every street corner in the city.
Chris, this looks like a golden opportunity for you to solve both your problems. It looks like they need a replacement on the sleigh. You could spread Christmas spirit and pay the rent at the same time.
They haven't asked me.
You have to ask them. Besides, how can you watch this? These children will be so disappointed if there's no Santa.
Well,
I've given a lot of thought to what you've been saying, and about giving and sharing. It doesn't matter if you're the real Santa Claus or not. These children, you can make these children believe that you are.
well, that's what it's all about, isn't it, Doctor? Excuse me. Is there anything I can do to help?
I don't believe it. It's Santa Claus.
Shelley, it's a gift from Santa Claus. Sir, you can see our situation here. Will you please fill in and play Santa at our parade?
Well, I'm not in the habit of substituting for intoxicated imposters, but, my dear, since the role fits me so perfectly, Which way to the dressing room?
Oh, Shelley, get this gentleman suited up for the sleigh.
You bet. Right this way, Sarah. And I'll get rid of this.
Thank you. Just put it behind trailer too.
Hello, Doris.
Oh, hi, Fred. Susan's over talking to the elves. Could you go get her and take her somewhere? There's so much going on, I don't have time to deal with the crazy ideas they'll put into her head.
Hey, don't worry. I overheard their conversation. They were only talking about the North Pole.
That's just what I mean. North Pole? Fred, I appreciate your taking care of Susan, and I'm glad the two of you get along so well, but you and I have been neighbors long enough for you to know that I have definite ideas about keeping her mind free from illusions. I will not have her believing in fairy tales, Mr. Gailey.
Oh, and why not? Mrs. Walker?
All right, Fred. Sorry to be so irritable, but I believe it's important for her to have a sense of reality. As a lawyer, I would think you would appreciate that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were raising a 7-year-old lawyer.
It's not a fairy tale world we live in, Fred. She'll end up thinking Prince Charming will come along and help. Well, Fred, you and I both know that happily ever after just doesn't exist.
Are we talking about Susan? Or are we talking about you? Look, I'm sorry, but I'm sure your divorce was very painful, but you can't stay bitter about it forever. Not all men are going to let a woman down. And I don't think Susan's going to be any happier to grow up to think that they will.
Thank you for your help, Mr. Gailey. But please let me be Susan's parent.
You always right with your mother. The costumes actually fit.
Thank you.
Don't have to worry about this one. No one's going to make up her mind for her.
Come on, let's go get a good seat.
Welcome aboard. I'm Mr. Shellhammer.
Yes, how you doing?
It's my responsibility to train new Macy's family employees. Now, here's your list of toys, Winter Push, Mr.
Chris Kringle.
That's very clever.
Well, the name's been in the family for generations now.
Okay, now, we're overstocked on these toys, so if a child wants something we don't have, you should say, now, you might not like that. How would you like a pair of roller skates? Understand?
Why not give the children what they want?
Because it's Christmas. People buy just about anything for their children at Christmas. You can change kids' minds because they think you're really Santa Claus, see? It's a good way to bear our surplus inventory.
Well, you've got that new economical spirit, don't you?
Yes, and a Santa who moves a little merchandise gets a little something extra in his Christmas stocking.
Well,
Now, we mustn't keep the children waiting.
oh. No, this will never do. Oh, well, hello, Sharon.
How did you know my name?
Oh, but I'm Santa Claus. Now, what could I bring you for Christmas?
I want a pink bike with ribbons on the handlebars.
Well, you've been a good girl this year. I think that can be arranged.
Thanks a lot, Santa. Do I look like I'm made of money? Your store charges $15 for a bike like that. I've checked.
Oh, well, could you afford $8.99?
Sure.
Try Gimbals on 86.
I can't believe it. Macy's Santa is sending me to another store?
Well, it's not about who sells a toy, Macy's, or whoever. The important thing is to make the child happy.
This is wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, and what is your Christmas wish, young man?
I want a Red Ryder BB gun that really shoots. But I promise not to shoot it in the house.
That's what you said about that water pistol last year.
I know, but I really promise this time.
Well, all right. I accept your promise, but you remember now.
Why did you say that? I've been all over town and everybody's sold out.
Well, Bloomingdale's just got in a new shipment right across the street. It's on the 4th floor, the second aisle to the left, and they're only $3. What a marvelous bargain. Bloomingdale's.
Let's go.
Bye, Johnny.
Thank you for shopping at Macy's.
To tell you the truth, I'm on my way to Bloomingdale's. Your Santa recommended it.
He what?
And let me tell you, I think that's wonderful. That's the true Christmas spirit. My Santa said that my son can get what he wants.
Oh, what will Mr. Macy say about that? I'm so fired.
Santa Claus?
This child has just arrived here from an orphanage in Holland. She hasn't learned any English yet, but she was so excited to see you. She insists that Santa Claus can speak Dutch.
Hallo, ik ben blij dat je de hele bloemen bent.
U bent Sinterklaas?
Maar zeker.
Ik wist het wel. Ik weet zeker dat u mezelf klaar bent.
Oh, natuurlijk. Zeg maar wat je zou willen hebben van Sinterklaas.
Niks. Ik koop van alles. Ik wil allemaal bij deze lieve
Would you for me singing?
Sinterklaas-Kapoentje, heeft wat in mijn schoentje, gooi wat in mijn laarsje, dank u Sinterklaasje. Sinterklaas-Kapoentje, heeft wat in mijn schoentje, gooi wat in mijn laarsje, dank u Sinterklaasje.
Oh. Dag.
Duh.
Jason, you're next.
Do I have to?
Oh, come on, give it a shot. For the sake of Macy's.
You know, of course, that this is ridiculous.
And why don't you believe in Santa Claus, Susan?
How did you know that?
I know lots of things. And now, what could Santa bring for Christmas?
Nothing. Whatever I want him to look at for me, provided isn't too expensive. I know you're just my mom hired to play the role of Santa Claus, but I must admit, you're better than most. I can't even see the straps holding at your beard. It looks real.
That's because it is real. And I'm real too. Here, go ahead, pull it. Oh.
Well, it was nice talking to you anyway, but I don't think you ought to pretend to all these children that you're going to bring them what they want.
Well, maybe the children will get what they want this year, and so will you.
I'm sorry, she is a tough sell. But thank you for trying.
Well, my pleasure. And thank you for bringing her to me.
You know, it really is sad to see that much cynicism in such a small girl.
I agree. But what she needs is an infusion of imagination. Maybe you and I could work on that together.
Mother, something funny happened. There's a Dutch girl night who could speak English, and the Santas appear in Dutch.
Lots of people speak foreign languages.
But they sing a song together.
I speak French, but it doesn't make me Joan of Arc. He's only a nice old man that I hired this morning. And even if there really were a Santa Claus, I doubt he'd be working for Macy's. Now, would you please have a seat over there while I have a word with Fred? I was just given Santa Claus's employment card. Perhaps you should read it.
Name, Chris Kringle. Place of birth, the North Pole. Age, as young as my tongue, but a little bit older than my teeth. Next of kin, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen.
Does that convince you? I think you better take Susan home. I apparently still have a job to do.
I think he's just a sweet old man, and I stand corrected. Come on, Susan. Your mother has Christmas to manage.
Bye, sweetheart. I'll see you tonight. Thank you for shopping at Macy's.
Doris, this new Santa is completely unacceptable.
What?
He refuses to push our backlog merchandise.
What?
And you're not going to believe this. He's sending our customers to other stores.
What?
I'm not kidding. You've got to do something.
What a coincidence. I was on my way to do just that. Mr. Kringle,
Yes?
we've had a busy day, haven't we? Has it been difficult for you?
Getting accustomed to a new setting is always trying, but I have enjoyed the children.
Perhaps you've been trying a little too hard.
Oh, what do you mean, Miss Wall?
It seems you haven't been following Mr. Shellhammer's instructions.
Oh, you mean push the surplus toys?
Yes.
Yes, I decided not to do that.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I thought it dishonest. Why should the children have to pay for Macy's mistakes?
That is not your decision to make, Mr. Kringle. And speaking of dishonesty, what am I supposed to make of this employment card?
Why, it's not dishonest.
The things you put on this card. We take our work at Macy's seriously, Mr. Kringle. If you want to collect a paycheck, you have to put legitimate information on your card.
Well, it all happens to be true. See, I verified it by signing right there at the bottom.
Then you really think you're Santa Claus?
Of course not.
Well, that's
I
right.
know it for a fact.
Well, you are entitled to whatever delusions you care to hold on to, but we cannot have a Santa Claus sending our customers to other stores. You can pick up your last check at the personnel desk. I'm sorry it didn't work out.
Well, it strikes me a bit ironic, Miss Walker, that you would fire Santa Claus for being Santa Claus. I was just making sure that the children would get what they really want.
Macy's is in business, Mr. Kringle. We can't just... I don't want to argue. I'll authorize a week's severance for you. Now, Merry Christmas, Mr. Kringle, and goodbye.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you, Miss Walker. And don't worry, I won't hold this against you on Christmas Eve.
Doris, Mr. Macy.
Mr. Macy wants to
I
see
can
me.
very well speak for myself, Mr. Shellhammer.
Mr. Macy, sir, does there seem to be a problem?
I will listen with great interest as you tell me who told our Santa Claus to send people to other stores.
I take full responsibility, Mr. Macy, I assure you.
I instruct you to push our catalog merchandise.
I would further like to know who's responsible for sending our customers to Bloomingdale's for something that we didn't
I'm
have.
not sure, sir, but I promise you the situation
My office
is right now.
phone calls, telegrams,
The
letters.
situation has been handled, sir, and I
All
promise you.
notices of grateful thanks from our shoppers. This is the greatest advertising gimmick in years. I can see the headlines now. The store with the real Christmas spirit. Macy's Santa recommends Bloomingdale's. The press will eat this up, and Macy's will gather all that wonderful feeling of goodwill.
I'm so glad you're pleased.
This is the best Santa we've ever had. And there's going to be something special in your stockings this year. Ah, come on. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle... Sing! Jingle bells, jingle bells.
I must still be asleep and dreaming.
It's Armageddon.
Huh?
I fired him.
You did what?
He's crazy! You should see his personnel card. He thinks he's Santa Claus!
Evidently sort of Mr. Macy.
I don't know what we're gonna do now.
Do you think Mr. Macy will fire us?
Maybe we can fix this. Sheila, page Chris Kringle and tell him to. Hello.
Mrs. Walker, where was Santa? The line is stretching all the way to ladies' sportswear. And we're almost out of candy canes.
Well, actually,
She fired.
She fired Santa? In the middle of Christmas rush? What about the children?
Miss Walker, as shop steward of Ellis Local number 10, I must lodge formal agreements against management's capricious disrespect for the Christmas spirit.
well, I assure you that the situation is being taken.
Santa Claus goes! We walk! Ho, ho! We will go!
That's
ho, ho!
just what I mean! Breaking news!
You didn't have to page me, Miss Walker. I was going to bring this suit back to you.
Actually, Mr. Kringle, I seem to have been a bit hasty
Oh.
about our policy about sending customers to other stores. Mr. Macy likes it,
Well,
so if you could...
that's not reason enough, Miss Walker. Why should I come back to increase Macy's profits? Pushing toys is not what Christmas is all about. We're so busy making things go faster and look shinier to beat our competitor that we're losing the spirit of giving from our hearts. And I see no reason why I should contribute to that kind of commercialism.
You won't come back.
The ease stands firmly behind you, Mr. Kringle.
We're in the middle of the Christmas rush, and I lose the Santa Claus who works a miracle. It really is more than about profit, Mr. Kringle. Can't you see that Macy's needs you? The children need you, and I need you. Won't you please reconsider?
And not to mention saving 2 wage slaves from being fired.
What if we promise not to make you work our backlog? Just be the Santa Claus you want to be. Just be yourself.
Now that I can do.
Come on.
Oh, yes.
Well, tall girl, why didn't you think of this?
This is the single greatest PR campaign in retail history. Suddenly, every shopper in New York City thinks of Macy as a benevolent soul, thinking only of the welfare of the public. And what does that make women guess? Short one, that. Profiteering money grubbers, that's what. 2 can play at this game. From now on, if we don't have what the customer wants, we're going to send them back to Macy's. What's more, we'll do the same in our stores in Philadelphia, Boston, Pittsburgh. Well, what are you waiting for? Get to it!
You wanted to see me? Yes, Miss Sawyer, please have a seat. As our vocational guidance counselor, I was hoping you could help me out with a situation we have. We have a wonderful new Santa in our toy department this year.
That's very admirable, Mrs. Walker.
Not exactly. He is wonderful in nearly every way. He even has a natural white beard. But he is actually convinced that he's Santa Claus.
Interesting.
I was hoping you could help the old fellow out a bit.
You mean to say that he actually maintains this persona outside of the workplace?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Sounds to me like a classic case out of an abnormal psychology textbook. What other symptoms are there?
None that I know of.
Oh. Persistent delusion. Very bad sign, very... You know, this sort of thing is usually caused by failure to have emotional needs met in childhood. So the subject tends to personify the image of affection and gift-giving, you know. What is the subject's name?
Kris Kringle.
You got to be kidding.
I wish that I were, but Miss Sawyer, this is a very delicate situation. He is a very valuable employee right now.
What do you want me to do?
Just sit back and observe, and then maybe arrange an interview. Just keep it casual.
Leave it to me, Mrs. Walker. He'll never suspect that I suspect.
Come in.
Are you Doris Walker?
Yes, may I help you?
Dr. Pierce, I'm the resident physician at Maplewood Home where Kris Kringle used to
Oh,
live.
please, have a seat. I think I'd like to talk to you.
I'd heard that you hired him to be Macy's Santa Claus, and you don't know how happy I am that you decided to give him a chance.
Who is he really, Doctor?
That's a good question. If there is a Santa Claus, he certainly fits the part.
You don't mean to say he's actually Santa Claus.
I didn't say that. I merely implied, from a purely philosophical point of view, that if there was, he could be.
Well, do you think he's Santa Claus, philosophically speaking?
Well, that's one of those questions that goes round and round in your head, like, is Snow White? Is red red? Or when a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound?
Of course it does.
Does it? It only does because you're there and the vibrations can bounce off your eardrums. But if there are no eardrums there to hear it, does it make a sound?
I've heard that argument, but it could never be proven.
Or disproven. It's all a matter of perception. If nobody believed in Santa Claus, maybe he wouldn't exist. But millions of children all over the world believe in Santa Claus. And Chris believes he's Santa Claus.
He certainly does.
We might think of it as a case of, I think, therefore I am.
You're still speaking philosophically, I assume.
If you live long enough and experience life enough, things just work out better when you view them philosophically.
I'll write that there. Unfortunately, we have to be realistic in the retail business.
I understand, but he's perfectly harmless. Thousands of people all over the world live charmed lives with similar delusions.
Well, I'm glad you said delusions. Really?
He's absolutely harmless. I just worry about him sometimes.
Why?
He's an old man. I'm worried about him wandering the streets of New York without a home to go to. If somebody here could look after him after the store closes.
He has no place to live?
He can't go back to Maplewood. They've discharged him.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate your coming in to talk to me, Dr. Pierce. I'll see what I can do about finding a place to stay.
Thank you very much. You won't regret having him on your staff, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Dr. Pierce.
Mr. Kringle, is it?
Yes, that's one of the names I'm called.
I'm Alice Sawyer, Macy's
How do you do?
vocational guidance counselor. How I do remains to be seen, Mr. Kringle. As a new employee, I would like to get to know you before the customers start coming in, and I have a list here of questions that I need to ask, beginning with, how have you enjoyed your work here so far?
Well, I hardly call it work. To be honest, I normally do this sort of thing for free.
So you usually promise...
My goodness. There we go. You're welcome.
So you usually promise gifts to children at Christmas time?
Well, I do my best.
And how do you propose to provide all of these gifts yourself?
Well, Santa Claus has a lot of influence when it comes to making things happen.
Of course, at night, you go back to the North Pole to manufacture these gifts, correct?
Actually, no. I live with my reindeer.
Excuse me?
Yes, I'm temporarily staying at the home of the zookeeper, and I help her feed the reindeer and see that they are okay.
Mr. Kringle, let's move along, shall we? Can you tell me what 3 times 5 is?
Don't you know?
I want you to tell me.
Oh, 15, of course.
Very good. Now,
You
I
want me
would
to
like...
extend my arms and touch my nose, alternating between the index fingers on each hand. Oh, by the way, I know another one. I don't know if there's any new ones I haven't tried before, but
Impressive. Who was the first president of the United States?
well, let's see, that would be George Washington. Oh, do you know who was vice president under Grover Cleveland?
I have no idea. Mr. Kringle, I am giving the interview here, if you don't mind. Now, are you married?
Oh, is that a proposal?
How many fingers am I holding up?
Well, 3. Oh, my goodness. I see you bite your nails. Do these interviews make you nervous, Miss Sawyer?
That is none of your business. Now, what's 3 times 5?
Oh, 15. The same as the first time you asked. Do you know that unconscious repetition is often a sign of overwork and stress? Are you getting enough rest, Miss Sawyer?
That will be all, Mr. Kringle.
Oh, you really could use a nice vacation. Why don't you take a couple of weeks? I could talk to Mr. Macy for you.
That man clearly has a random psychosis. Ooh, that Santa, that Chris Kringle.
Oh, come off it, Sawyer. His doctor was just here, and he says Chris is perfectly harmless.
Perfectly harmless. You know, in cases like this, they often become violent when their delusions are questioned, and I will tell you right now that if he's allowed to continue to work here, I I will take no responsibility for the consequences.
Well, that's all right. I will take responsibility, Miss Sawyer. Don't worry about Alice.
You know what? As a psychologist around here, I think that my opinion should be respected. And frankly, if he becomes violent, I'll be the first to say, I told you so. Oh,
Good heavens! What was that all about?
Sawyer did an interview with our Santa, and apparently it didn't go very well. Her opinion is that he could become violent.
That would be a disaster.
But I also spoke to Dr. Pierce, who is the resident physician at the home where Chris was staying. He says Chris is a kindly old man who thinks he's Santa Claus and is perfectly harmless.
Do you believe the doctor?
He's known Chris for years. Sawyer talked to him for 10 minutes.
Why did the doctor seek you out?
Oh, thank you, dear. He's glad we've given Chris a job, but he's worried about the hours after the store closes. He wants someone to keep an eye on him.
That's a splendid idea. You're just the person to do it.
I have enough responsibility with Susan. When I go home, I'd like some time to unwind.
Well, maybe I can help out. We have a spare room. Chris can stay with us.
Thank you, dear. Shelley, you're a jewel. I was hoping you'd help out.
Not so fast, Mrs. Walker. I'll have to talk it over with my wife first. It's her home, too. But let me tell you what. You have Chris over for dinner tonight, and that'll give me enough time to talk it over with Meredith. I don't think I'll mention that he believes he's Santa Claus.
What's Meredith going to do when she's introduced to Kris Kringle?
Oh. I haven't thought my way around that one.
All right, Shelley. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list. He's checking it twice. Gotta find out who's naughty and nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
I enjoyed our dinner very much. Oh, and I thought the milk and cookies for dessert was especially a nice touch.
Please.
Oh, thank you. And I enjoyed spending the evening with you and Susan.
Mr. Kringle, could you speak to me the language you spoke in the store the other day?
Susan, I think Mr. Kringle's tired.
Oh, not a bit. I'd love to talk with her. Susan.
Please excuse me. I need to make a phone call.
Susan, do you have lots of friends in the building?
Yes, but I don't see them very often. The games they play are so childish. Today I pretended to be animals, and they asked me what kind of animal I wanted to be. But I said, I am not an animal, I'm a girl.
Oh, well, why didn't you tell them you were a lion or a bear?
Because I'm not a lion.
Oh, well, the other children weren't animals either. They were just pretending.
But that's what makes the game so silly.
Oh, you know what imagination is, Susan?
That's when you see things that aren't really there.
Well, yes, but it's more than that. Imagination is a place you can go to, a very wonderful country. You've heard of countries like Germany and France and Japan? Well, imagination is a place like that. And the wonderful thing about that country is once you get there, you can do anything you want.
Not anything.
For instance, how would you like to fly to Mars and be back by dinner time?
Oh, that wouldn't be possible.
Or be the Statue of Liberty in the morning and fly south with a flock of geese in the afternoon? It's really very simple, Susan. Want to give it a try?
Well, I guess I could try.
All right. Let's start with something easy. Let me put this here. Now, stretch your arms out like this. There you go. Now wave them up and down like wings. That's fine. Now tilt and turn. And tilt and turn. Oh. go, you're soaring like a bird. Ho, 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 ho. Yes.
I did it, Mr. Kringle! That was fun.
Oh, you sure did. Now tell me, if you were to really believe that I was Santa Claus, what would you ask me to bring you for Christmas?
Can you bring big presents?
Why, it can, well, yes, since we're in the land of imagination, it can be anything.
I want a real house for Mother and me, and for a real father to live in it with us.
Oh, you're right. This is a tall order indeed.
Well, if you're really Santa, then you can do it. And if you can't, then just a nice man with a white beard, like Mother said.
Susan, not everyone always gets their wish, but that doesn't mean there isn't a Santa Claus. Now, some children wish for things they could never use, like a real locomotive, for example. And then little girls will sometimes wish for baby brothers or sisters, even though their parents couldn't raise them properly. And then sometimes people just have something to learn, like how to love, or how to behave better. Of course, Santa could grant the wish.
But I've wished for a father in a house for such a long time.
I know you have, Susan. The more you have wished for it, the more you need you when it comes. You see, if everybody got what they wanted right away, life wouldn't be half as much fun. So you can see, Susan, there are lots of reasons why a child's wish can't always come true.
But a father in a house gives me all I want, not toys.
Hey, Susan. Oh, how's my favorite girl? I am Fred Gailey. I live in the next apartment.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Gailey. I'm Chris Kringle.
Right, yes, I know.
Susan, it's time for bed. Oh, hi, Fred. Have you two met?
Oh, yes, we just introduced ourselves.
Mr. Kringle, I found you a place to stay tonight. Oh, that's my phone. Will you please wait?
You're looking for a place to stay?
Oh, no, I'm staying at the zoo.
I've never met anyone who lives at the zoo.
The zoo is no place to stay. Hey, I have a spare bedroom in my apartment. Why don't you stay with me? I can use the company.
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Gailey. That's very nice of you. Susan, maybe you should go tell your mother that we've made an arrangement. I don't want her to worry about me.
Okay, I like the idea of staying with Fred. He's my friend, and he'll be right next door.
Good night, Susan.
Good night, Susan. I like that idea too, Mr. Gailey.
Call me Fred, please.
Okay. Well, staying so close by would give me more opportunity to work on Susan's Christmas gift.
You know, I am very fond of that little girl.
Yes, I can see that. And what about her mother?
I like her a lot, too.
Oh, good.
But I'm afraid that being neighbors and a babysitter with Susan is as close as she wants me to get.
Well, have you ever invited her out?
Well, I've tried. But since her divorce, Doris doesn't socialize. She focuses on Susan and her career. I don't think she trusts love anymore.
Oh, that's a sad old story. But maybe one that you and I can do something about, Fred.
All right. How do we start?
Oh, it's very simple. Just keep showing your interest in her. Be aware of her feelings. But most of all, Fred, you've got to have faith in her.
I've tried that. It hasn't done much good so far.
Oh, it'll work out. I'll see you for that.
Mr. Kringle, Mr. Shellhammer has a place for you to stay, and he lives right near the store, so it'll be very easy for you to get to work. Will that be all right? I'll call you a cab.
Well, that's very nice, Mr. Shellhammer, but I just accepted Mr. Gailey's offer to stay with him.
Mr. Gailey.
Oh, I hope you don't mind. Well, then, if you'll excuse me, I will go to the zoo and collect my things, and I'll be back soon.
Wait, I can call you a cab.
Oh, don't bother. There'll be one right outside. But thank you.
All right.
I'll see you later.
Yes, well, good luck, and good evening.
Oh, thank you.
Good night. I think I should tell you about him, Fred. I don't suppose you realize he's been diagnosed as having delusions. His doctor does not want him to be unsupervised.
Okay, aside from the fact that I think he is quite capable of handling himself, between the two of us, he'll only be next door. We should have the situation covered.
Well, that's not quite all.
Well, what else?
The Santa Claus thing. I told you, I don't want Susan influenced.
Doris, I understand your concern, but I like Chris. So let's just try it out for a couple of days. If it doesn't work out, we'll find another arrangement for him. And in the meantime, I will take responsibility for it. Come on, Doris. Trust me. Deal?
All right.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the hills we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight! Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh! Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh! A day or two ago, I thought I'd take a ride, and soon as Danny Bride was seated by my side. The horse was lean and lame, misfortune seemed his lot. He got into a drinking bag and jumping out of sight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh! Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh!
Hi, is everything all right?
Did Chris come back here?
No, I thought he was with you.
When he didn't show up, I went to the zoo to look for him. The lady there said he'd been there and left over an hour ago.
Heavens, Fred, something's happened to him.
And it's all my fault. And after I told you, you could trust me.
I don't want to blame you.
Shouldn't have let him go by himself.
The important thing now is to find out if he's all right. I'll never forgive myself if something happened to that old man.
I'm surprised. I didn't think you liked Chris.
It's not a matter of like.
Well, I was hoping this was a sign that what he stands for was starting to get to you.
No, but this is New York City, you know.
Doris, who's going to mug Santa Claus?
I'm calling the police.
Doris, look. If he can find his way from the North Pole here, New York City should not be a problem.
I'm serious, Fred. If he was all right, he would have called by now. He must know I'd be worried. Susan? What's wrong, sweetheart?
I dreamed that Mr. Kringle went away, and there wasn't any more Christmas.
Oh, Susan, you know dreams aren't real.
It was just a bad dream, right? Mr. Kringle will be fine. And we'll never lose Christmas as long as we have each other.
Forgive me, Fred. I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you for opening up to me.
I can't.
And thank you. Thank you for realizing
back in a more convenient time.
Chris, you're all right!
Where were you? You had us both very worried.
I've been singing carols with some friends, and I just stopped by to say goodnight.
I'm so relieved.
Then my dream was true. Mr. Rickle did go away.
But he came back because your mom cared about him.
That's a good idea anyway. Come on, Susan, I'll take you back to bed.
Good night again, Susan.
Did you enjoy my absence?
What do you mean? You had Doris nearly crazy with worry.
Well, didn't it bring the two of you closer together?
Yes.
That's exactly what I hoped would happen.
You old fox. You made us worry on purpose. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, not a bit. Now, let me get out of here so you can finish putting her words to rest.
It's the next apartment on the right.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And Chris, I gotta say, I am really very glad that you're staying with me.
Thank you.
But I do have an ulterior motive.
Oh, what's that?
I get to finally learn the answer to the question that has plagued the world for centuries. Does Santa Claus sleep with his whiskers inside or outside of the covers?
Oh, I sleep with them outside, Fred. The cold air makes them grow. And now, I'll find my way. Thank you.
Good night, Chris.
Good night again.
I'm glad he's staying at your place. I feel better having him nearby. I'm glad you're nearby, too.
Me too.
Good night, Mr. Gailey.
Good night.
Up on the housetop, reindeer paws, out jumps good old Santa Claus. Down through the chimney with lots of toys, all for the little ones, girls and boys. Ho, 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 who would it go? Ho, 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 who would it go? Up on the housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney with old Saint Nick.
All right, kids, you can go sit down now.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, a very special Christmas delight, Macy's Children's Theater.
This is a story about a bad man named Ebenezer Scrooge. Today's the day before Christmas. Here comes God Presents Store Clerk. Good morning, Mrs. Scrooge. You know, I'm very smart, Mrs. Scrooge. So can I please let you work tomorrow? What? It's Christmas tomorrow, Mrs. Scrooge. My family is waiting for me. Christmas is humbug. When you make money, so you must come to work.
a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And now, a very special honor, Mr. Macy and Mrs. Bloomingdale.
Welcome to our store. I'm so glad we can get together in the spirit of cooperation at Christmas.
Yes. I must say, in the beginning, I was a little bit jealous of the success of your PR campaign. Felt like you were trying to steal Christmas business. But, as someone reminded me, goodwill is not the private property of any one organization. So, we started our own goodwill campaign, and it's been quite profitable.
So I understand. Well, cooperation will go farther with everyone than competition. Mr. Kringle, can you step down here for a moment? This is the man I was telling you about. Mr. Kringle, you brought such a special feeling to both Macy's, well, and Bloomingdale's stores this year, and it seems to have spread throughout the entire city of New York. Whatever your special gift, we would like to honor it.
Yes.
So we're hoping you'll accept this small token of our appreciation and our love. There you are.
Thank you so much. This is very generous. It's going to make Christmas really special for someone that's been kind to me. It's going to buy an X-ray machine.
A what?
Oh, it's for the medical facility in Maplewood. Dr. Pierce said that an X-ray would be very helpful in some situations.
That's going to be rather expensive. This check might not cover the whole
Why
cost
don't
of
you let Bloomingdale's help you with that? Get it for your wholesale. You know, Mr. Crystal, you and all of you gentlemen of the press, let's go over to Bloomingdale's and have some pictures taken in front of our store.
Wonderful. I wanted to see your face so long.
You can come to me. Mr. Crystal, you have
Find me an X-ray machine. I'll get it for you at my cost.
How many zeros?
I'll give you free delivery. I'll have it autographed, for God's sake.
I never thought I'd see the day where Mr. Macy and Mrs. Bloomingdale were shaking hands. It's like a miracle.
I don't know how he does it.
Who? Chris. Maybe he gathered some stardust while flying with his reindeer and sprinkled it over everyone.
Look at you, Doris. Your imagination is coming to life.
Not really, Fred. I was only kidding.
No, you weren't. Don't be afraid to admit it. Oh, I have a little presentation of my own to make.
What is it? Fred? It's beautiful.
Let me. I went to Cartier's to look at necklaces. They sent me over to Tiffany's. And when I got there, the clerk at Tiffany's asked me if I had seen the collection at Cartier's.
It's happening all over town. I never dreamed when I saw that bearded old man at the parade that he revolutionized the entire merchandising business.
Let's celebrate. Let's go to dinner.
Oh, Fred, I'd love to, but I have to work tonight.
Really?
Really. Miss Sawyer, our vocational guidance counselor, is having a lecture. It's been planned for weeks.
Can't you get out of it?
I wish I could. I have to introduce her.
What's the topic?
This is embarrassing. Please don't let Chris find out.
Ooh.
Exploding myth of Santa Claus. Open discussion after lecture. Oh dear, we have to tell this one, Mr. Cole.
Sheila! Shelly's gonna be coming in with that podium. Just tell him to put it center. I'll be right back. I just need to drop by my office for a second.
Take us over.
Put it down.
Walk away. 5 minutes, darling. 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so glad to have everyone here tonight for this required lecture. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce Miss Alice Sawyer.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are here to discuss the Santa Claus myth. By the time my lecture is concluded, I feel sure that you will all join me in my heartfelt belief that this legend, which has been passed down from generation to generation and throughout the centuries, has done nothing but harm and be detrimental to children of all ages and both genders. The symbolic figure of Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, Kris Kringle, whatever we may call him, is nothing but the classic expression of the wishful dreaming of all children. Rather than teaching children the things that they want come for free, they need to be taught the work ethic that has made this country great. Mature adults who fail to realize this reveal themselves as incomplete and neurotic personalities who are completely unable to adhere to the stringent nature of our current society. This is a cold and cruel world. Children need to learn the difference between fact and fiction. And if they cannot, then they will grow up to be just as sad as the existence of the parents that continue to perpetuate this myth. Why do we do this to ourselves? You ask.
Don't ask.
To compensate for feelings of guilt. That is why we perpetuate the Santa Claus myth. Parents who neglect their children for 364 days of the year, and parents and grandparents who keep the Santa Claus myth going and stage the Christmas charade are doing nothing but revealing their own infantile emotions which they have never outgrown. Therefore, I suspect that this vaunted spirit of giving is nothing more than selfishness in disguise.
Just a minute there.
I am giving this lecture, Mr. Kringle.
With an open discussion to be included, I believe.
The discussion will take place after the lecture is over.
The lecture is over!
Mrs. Walker, I refuse to continue until this blatant fraud is removed from the platform.
Chris, please, we have to.
Miss Walker, I can't just sit here and listen to this woman's depressing absurdity and vile propaganda.
Absurdity, huh?
Your disregard for the spirit of Christmas is appalling.
Someone ought to teach you some manners.
Don't you threaten me!
It's absurd. I did no such.
Alice! Chris! Mrs. Walker, are you going to tell me that you're going to allow this dangerous maniac to insult your employees?
Perfectly harmless, Sawyer.
Maybe we should let the police decide that.
That concludes our lecture for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much and have a Merry Christmas. I will handle this.
Miss Walker, I am perfectly capable of defending my person against attacks.
Please, Chris, for my sake.
Well, all right. I'll see you at the store tomorrow.
No, would you please wait in the hallway? I'll talk to you in a minute.
Okay.
Society has ways of dealing with you. Oh! That's what I mean. In cases like this, there is no telling. He could snap at any minute.
I hardly think
It's
just 1
usually
minute.
fire Macy's. If Bloomingdale's or the press find out that our Santa is possibly dangerous, the repercussions could be devastating.
I'm telling you, Mrs. Walker, Kringle is a stick of dynamite with a short fuse. We are just lucky that it was me who was the victim of his lunacy and not some poor defenseless child dangling from his knee.
We've got to do something.
But he's just a kindly old man. Are you sure he hit you with that cane?
Yes, and he will again. He's evidently suffered a change in personality and has entered a violent stage.
But Dr. Pierce assured me such a thing could never happen. He says his delusion is a positive one.
Pierce is not a psychiatrist. Neither are you! In that case, it's your responsibility to have him seen by a competent psychiatrist at once.
I agree.
Oh, well, I don't. Dr. Pierce says he's already been analyzed many times.
Then one more time won't make any difference. If the doctor finds him competent, he can resume his job at Macy's.
And if not, at least you'll know you've done the right thing.
Well,
Now, all we have to do is figure out how to get him out of here without causing another scene, because in his clear state, he's going to react with violence, Mrs. Walker. He is.
You'll have to explain it to him, Doris.
Well,
He trusts you.
I simply can't hurt the old man.
Wait. Never mind, Mrs. Walker. I won't need you. I know what to do.
What are you going to do?
I will apologize. I will invite him to dinner, and I will persuade him to be seen by a competent psychiatrist in the morning.
Well, all right, Alice, but call me when you have this worked out. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Mr. Kringle, are you still here? Please come back. I am truly sorry for our misunderstanding. Are you all right? I shouldn't have said the things that I did, and I would be thrilled if you would allow me to take you to dinner, and then I'll be happy to drop you off wherever you're staying.
Well, certainly, Miss Sawyer, and I accept your apology. And thank you for the dinner invitation, but I believe I'll go with Miss Walker.
That's all right, Chris. It'll give me a chance to do some shopping. I'll go with Mr. Shellhammer, and I'll see you in the morning.
Shall we go then?
If you'd excuse me a moment, I need to talk to my elder.
Oh, heavens! Oh, I'll just go collect my things.
I've been thinking. You remember how we're supposed to always look for the good in everyone, no matter how bad that person may seem to be?
Does everyone include Mrs. Sawyer?
Well, sometimes the good in people is buried so deep that it has a tough time trying to get out. And when it does come out, we may not recognize it because we blocked off our willingness to see it. Now, Miss Sawyer sees things so very narrowly. That's because she has lost her ability to dream. She can't imagine anything be better than her limited point of view.
Is there hope for her?
Sure, certainly there's hope for her. She just apologized for her angry words. I don't know if she was sincere or not, but having said those words, deep down she must believe that she should mean them.
But what if she wasn't being honest?
Oh, that would mean that the bad at the time was much stronger than the good.
You shouldn't go with her, Mr. Kringle.
Oh, not so fast now. We must be quick to recognize the good intentions in her words. And having said it, like I said, she needs to believe in herself.
I'm calling for a vote. All those in favor of Mr. Kringle going with Miss Sawyer, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay!
Oh, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm in charge of me, and I've decided that I'll give something another chance. Besides, it was Miss Doris Walker that said I should go to dinner with them. So I can take care of myself. Don't worry. You elves just go on home and I'll see you in the morning.
Please be careful.
I will. Oh, there you are, Sawyer. Now, where shall we go to have dinner? I sure hope they have hot chocolate with the little bitty marshmallows floating. Oh, that would be, and chocolate chip cookies. Oh.
Jolly old Saint Nicholas, in your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm going to say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now you dear old man, whisper what you'll bring to me. Tell me if you can. Bobby wants a pair of skates. Susie wants a sled. Nellie wants a picture book, yellow, blue, and red. Now I think I'll leave to you what to give the rest. Choose for me, dear Santa Claus. You will know what's best.
How could she have done it? How could she have done this to me?
Chris, Doris didn't send you here.
She must have been humoring me all along. And I thought she was beginning to believe in me.
How did you wind up at Bellevue with Sawyer anyway?
Sawyer, she tricked me. She sat looking out the restaurant window and making small talk, and then suddenly she said, "Let's go." And when I stepped outside, 2 men pushed me into a taxi and put me between them. And I heard one say Bellevue, and Sawyer didn't even come along.
Didn't they give you the usual sanity test, the ones you know by heart?
Of course, the same routine. But I was so crushed that Doris would do this to me that I deliberately gave them all the wrong answers, so they committed me.
Chris, Doris had no idea what Sawyer was up to. She only agreed that you two should go to dinner and that you would talk about seeing a psychiatrist.
Well, I'm relieved to know that, Fred. But why didn't she come to me herself and explain?
She didn't want to hurt you.
Well, it hurt just the same. I'm just some nice old man that she felt sorry for.
No, she feels more than that, I'm sure.
No, she had her doubts all along, Fred. That's the reason she isn't here. If you'd been dragged off here, she'd have been here.
Sure, she had her doubts in the beginning, but I really think that she was starting to believe. And I think that belief was just too new and too fragile. And Sawyer just tipped her the other way. But I'm sure she wouldn't want you to stay here.
Now listen, Doris. It's people like Sawyer. She's dishonest and, ooh, I don't want to say the other awful words that occur to me. Yet she's the one that's called normal. Why, if that's how sane people behave, I would rather stay in here with these more honest folks.
You are quite sane, and a whole lot saner than most.
Yet she's out there, and I'm here. I should have listened to the elves. But I thought there was some good in that woman that I could touch. But now, I'll be spending my life here at Bellevue, just like Dr. Sawyer said all along.
Chris, don't be so gloomy. You're not living up to your own philosophy. You can't just think of yourself.
Well, am I just thinking of myself?
Yes. What happens to you matters to a lot of people. People like me who have faith in you and what you stand for. And people like Susan who are just beginning to believe.
Oh, well maybe Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right at that, Fred. Oh, I should be ashamed of myself, and by golly, I am. Fred, let's get out of here.
Well, it's not that easy. I mean, there are some legal difficulties that we're gonna have to go through.
Now,
and
Fred, you've told me not to be discouraged. Now, don't you be discouraged, Fred. I've got faith in you, and I know you can do it.